Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis and his decision to leave Money Mayweather, to leave Mayweather Promotions. This is going to be a bit of a short video. Everybody's making a big deal about this, about Tank leaving. And Tank he's touched on it a few times, actually, in which case he said, it's just time for him to be a man and grow up and not depend on anybody else. My personal take on things would be, I personally don't think it's a great move for Tank. I don't think it's the safest thing for him to go and be independent. I think he has been managed fairly well up until this point. And, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Not to say there's anything wrong with his business acumen, but he doesn't strike me as a businessman, to be honest. Nothing about Tank suggests that he is a businessman. So it does worry me a bit that he would feel, like that he can manage the ship himself. He could steer the helm. And I worry about that. You look at Adrian Broner, prior to About Billions, he was on the straight and narrow until like somebody gave him more control than what he could handle. And not only was his personal life spiraling out of control, but that bled into his business life, his professional career. And it's hard to juggle both. It's hard to juggle both. And I don't necessarily think Tank can juggle both, or not at this particular moment do I think that he can juggle both. Perfect example. He's still in the press conferences with Rolly talking about he would smoke Rolly and his team, outside the boxing ring. If that's how you conduct yourself at a press conference, in which case, yes, you're trying to hype up a fight. Well, Rolly is doing an excellent job, and he's actually hyping up a fight. You are making death threats. I don't necessarily think that's the mind, a sound mind of a guy who's ready to handle his own company, to be honest with you. And, it worries me a little bit because I don't know what's going to happen to Tank. You either sink or you swim. And I think he is a money-making machine. However, if you look at, his time with Floyd has done primarily the gist of the talking. It's not like Tank is like a great trash talker. It's not like Tank is a great media presence. I think he has presence, and I think, he is a bit of an attraction overall, but I don't think he does very well when it comes to, the logistical things on that end, or the business side of things, in which case he will be asked questions, and we listen to him in interviews, and yes, he's matured a little bit, but overall, I don't feel like he's matured leaps and bounds. And Floyd would literally just hype up his fights. He would talk the trash. He would talk the business. Floyd would talk the trash. Leonard Ellaby would literally just talk the business. And it was a perfect partnership. Tank, all you got to do is just go in there and wipe the floor with him. I done said everything we need to say, on the trash talking side, and the business is already taken care of. Thank you, Leonard Ellaby. Now you're saying you want to do all that yourself, and you can't even differentiate, you can't even separate promotion and the street with Rolly. So that's a little worrisome. Also, a lot of people are talking about, well, what about your legal issues? Are they going to be a thing in this fight? And, that's another thing. We're talking about a guy who kind of can't stay out of trouble. You're talking about a guy who can't stay away from the neighborhood. He has no business being in the neighborhood. Yeah, I understand that you might want to do good things, and you might want to. There's nothing wrong with putting on a food drive in your neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with doing a back to school, event in your neighborhood. The problem comes when the back to school event in your neighborhood has been over for like 6 hours now. The sun has gone down, and you're out here with 20-year-old homeboys still hanging on the corner as if it were 5 years ago when you were a no-name. That's the problem. Or you're hanging out in a club, in some trashy club that has horrible security that more than likely is going to get shot up at the end of the night. And that's your issue. And again, That's what has plagued Adrian Broner. Not knowing how to cut certain people off from his old life and hanging out in places that he should not be in. You know, you're a multimillionaire. What are you doing hanging out in the projects? I mean, if we can learn anything from these rappers as of lately, you know, who are going to jail, who are, you know, getting gunned down in the street, a lot of these fighters is kind of the same thing. You know, they come from the same background. And as we can see, they all walk out to a lot of these rappers and, you know, they know them personally and they're kind of living the same life. And it's just like, that's going to get you caught up. That's definitely going to get you caught up. And it may not be now, but you can't juggle all of that. You can't juggle boxing, training, street politics, homeboys, in a business. You can't juggle all those things. Boxing and the business are going to be hard enough to juggle. But now you got to juggle your homeboys. Now you have to juggle their court fees. Now you got to juggle their lawyers. Now you got to juggle, hey, you know, I did something the other weekend. Can you come bail me out? Now you got to juggle that. Now you got to juggle that. Or you go into the hood and you're going to hang out with one of your boys and you go to the wrong place, or maybe you're in a club a little too long and some other guys come in and it's like, oh yeah, last week I robbed that guy. So he might be a little angry tonight. He might even shoot at us. And then you get caught up in that, you know? So it's just like, you know, you look at the Robert Easters who just, you know, and I hope he's all well and back in the gym, you know, I really do. But, you know, we just talk about people who are in the wrong place at the wrong time. But then again, you probably shouldn't be in a lot of these areas that you were in to begin with. You know, if you're now a millionaire, yeah, I want to happily tell you, congratulations, you have graduated this environment. It's okay to stay in contact with it, but don't re-emerge yourself in it. That's not smart. That's not showing a ton of wisdom. And that also shows me that's not an individual that can run a company. That's not an individual that can manage a company. That's not an individual that can manage employees. I think it's safer to be with Floyd. And not to mention, Floyd hasn't let you down. I mean, everything he's promised, he's delivered. He's gotten you world titles, you know, but you've messed those things up. You're the one not making weight, you know. But again, I commend him because now he is clearly taking his career more seriously. He's training around the clock, which is what he should be doing. But if the ball has not been dropped by Mayweather Promotions, then why are you leaving? You know, I don't totally understand that. I don't totally get that, you know, and I don't know. I don't feel like it's a safe business move. You know, I get it. You might have some people in your ear like, hey, bro, it's time for us to get up out of here and we can make more money. Yeah, but you could also make more money with this guy. And he seems to know what he's doing. And he seems to have his head firmly planted, you know, on his shoulders. Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe. So I don't think it's a great move. I really don't think it's a great move. I think things have been going thus far. Great. You got the trio. You got Mayweather, you got Leonard, and you got Tank. If it ain't broke, do not fix it. But, you know, those are my thoughts. Drop your comments down below. I'd like to hear what you have to say. You think Tank should go? You think it's a good idea or not? Drop your comments down below. As always, please like, please share, and please subscribe to my channel.